In 1995, a young boy named Louis has just lost his parents, and his uncle Jonathan invites him to live with him. They arrive at a spooky house where Louis sees jack-o'-lanterns and is surprised by the display of different clocks ticking together. Jonathan tells Louis that he keeps Halloween all year round, but he admits that 3 a.m. is his best jamming hour. Louis enters the house and is startled by the sound of rustling, which Jonathan believes is from a deranged cuckoo. A slender woman steps out of a door and introduces herself as his next-door neighbor, Mrs. Zimmerman. While they bicker, Louis feels strange energies around the house and is encouraged to let go of his rules. The next morning, Louis sees Jonathan and Zimmerman gossiping loudly about going into the wall. Jonathan sends him off to school in a humorous way, making Louis suspect him. At school, Louis joins a basketball team but is terrible at playing. Later, he plays cricket with another boy named Tarby, who tries to catch up with him. Tarby tells Louis that the house is haunted after a man died there. After a while, Louis sees his mother and tells him about a book and a key, which she says he's in danger. When Louis asks what she's talking about, she asks if he can hear the ticking. Louis wakes up and hears footsteps again, and he follows them. He sees all the strange things in the house and becomes scared when he sees Jonathan pounding into a wall with an axe. Louis asks Jonathan to teach him to be a warlock, and Jonathan assures him that everything is okay. Jonathan tells Louis that he is a warlock and that the house was owned by Isaac and his wife Selena. Isaac is a warlock too and lost his clock here. Louis begs Jonathan to teach him to be a warlock, and Jonathan hands him some books to finish first. A purple spider pops out the door, scaring them, but Jonathan explains that the spider belongs to Zimmerman, whose spells have been backfiring lately. Jonathan warns Louis to open a locked cabinet, and Zimmerman enters and tells them she scoured the crawl space but didn't find the clock. As Tarby sees a group of girls mocking Louis because of his glasses, the story highlights the dangers of letting go of one's rules and the importance of perseverance in the face of adversity. Louis, a young boy, learns to use magic and becomes a master of it. He learns to transform various objects and objects into magical scenes, such as turning a caged cat's fur into rainbow colors and making Jonathan float in the air. He also learns to channel energy to a moving chair by mistake. Louis's magic improves, and he uses it for various tasks, such as creating a TV for Captain Midnight. When Tarby, a black swan, wins elections and is uncomfortable hanging out with Louis convinces him to go home together to teach him magic tricks for his sports games. Jonathan reveals that the clock on the wall is a secret passage, leading to a large room with a giant structure that makes nightly sounds. Louis finds a chart on a table and returns it to Tarby, who brings out a spell book on necromancy. They learn the meaning of an illustration on the chart and return it to Louis. His mother reminds him of the book, promising him to win Tarby over if he uses it. The next day, Louis convinces Tarby to give him another chance at magic and promises to raise the dead. He steals the book and goes to the cemetery to meet Tarby, where they find Isaac's tomb opened. Jonathan tells Zimmerman to help him face Isaac alone, but she refuses, stating she can still swing a hammer. They hit horseshoes into the front doorway and see the large wall painting has changed to an illustration of them all in separate coffins. Louis confesses to Jonathan about what happened in the cemetery, but Zimmerman gets ahead of him and says the perpetrator will be sorry when they find him. Louis stays with Mrs. Zimmerman for the time being and notices that she is unable to make magic sparks. She explains that Isaac and Jonathan used to be best friends until the former went to war in Germany and returned a fiercer wizard. He then abandoned Jonathan and married a wicked witch named Selena, who believes Isaac killed his wife to perform a blood ritual to make a key out of human bone. Louis tries to talk to Tarby about the events in the cemetery, but he is told to pretend as if nothing happened and promises to break his arms if he says anything. He punches Louis when he tries to resist, and he falls to the ground and reads the word indomitable from the open page. He gets motivated and returns home to Jonathan. Louis enters the library and sees a chart on the table, which he can read using Captain Midnight. With the help of cards, he cracks the code and discovers that the clock is a doomsday clock that will run everything backward, and people will get younger until they vanish. They return home to find the house torn down, and Jonathan realizes Isaac was looking for the bone key. Lewis confesses to raising Isaac from the dead, but Jonathan is too angry and decides to send Lewis home. Zimmerman assures Lewis she'll talk Jonathan out of it, but Jonathan admits that he's scared for Lewis and that their house is no place for a kid. She calls Jonathan a coward and leaves the room. Lewis sees Isaac in Mrs. Hanchet's house and warns her, taking her into Jonathan's. They call for Jonathan and Zimmerman, who enter the house and find Isaac locked in a trap set by Isaac. Isaac asks for the key to release Lewis, and he tells them about his time in the Black Forest and how he got his powers. Isaac tries to take the key from Jonathan's pocket with magic while blackmailing Zimmerman. She uses great magic to stop him, saving Lewis and stopping Selena from taking the key. Jonathan is about to take the key, but Isaac attacks him with a bright light. Zimmerman saves him first, but Isaac gets the key and disappears with Selena. The toys and jack-o'-lanterns chase the trio out of the house. When Lewis finds the hex, they hurry back, and Zimmerman uses her magic to deal with the toys. Jonathan turns into a baby when he tries to open the clock, and Lewis is the only one who can stop it. The magic ball tells him to say goodbye, and when he does, he throws it into the clock, hooking and rewinding everything. Lewis saves the day. Jonathan is back to being an adult, and Isaac and Selena are forever ruined.